Imagine a world where everyone has their own clone. Someone who looks exactly like you, thinks like you, and has all your habits. At first, it might sound like a cool sci-fi concept, but it would quickly lead to a lot of hilarious and chaotic situations. Here are the top 10 funniest things that would happen if everyone had a clone. 1. Double the trouble at family gatherings. Family events would be a real challenge when everyone has a clone. The number of people at the table would double, making it hard to know which one is the real you. Awkward moments would happen when you're introduced to your cousin's clone or when you mistakenly end up sitting with your own double at the kids' table. Thanksgiving could get very confusing, especially when both you and your clone argue about who gets the last slice of pie. 2. Accidental identity crisis. Imagine running into your clone in public. There would be moments when even close friends and family wouldn't be able to tell who's who. You might end up getting mistaken for your clone at work, with people complimenting you for things you didn't do, or worse, blaming you for things your clone did. You'd spend all day explaining that you're not the one who broke the printer at the office. 3. The ultimate game of who said that? Every time someone says something awkward or embarrassing, they'd have to wonder if it was them or their clone who said it. Wait, did I say that? Or was that my clone? People would argue over who takes responsibility for the most embarrassing moments. I swear, it was the clone that ordered pizza again during the meeting, might become a common phrase in many households. 4. Eternal twin telepathy. Clones would likely share an almost supernatural connection, constantly knowing what the other is thinking. But the funny part is when this telepathy goes awry. One clone could text the other, only to receive a response saying, "I was just about to send the same thing." Meanwhile, you'd both end up showing up at the same event wearing the same outfit, not realizing that your clone also read your mind and dressed the same way. 5. Confusing group photos. Group photos would become a logistical nightmare. How do you even pose for a group picture when your clone is also there? If everyone has a clone, there could be 5 or 6 versions of you and your friends in one shot. It would become impossible to figure out who's who in the final picture. You might need a guide just to help spot the differences between everyone and their double. 6. A comedy of errors at the gym. The gym would be the perfect place for hilarious mishaps. Imagine you and your clone showing up for a workout, but you both accidentally try to do the same exercises at the same time. You'd take turns pretending to spot each other, only to end up in a tangled mess of dumbbells. Plus, it's bound to be awkward when both of you try to use the same machine simultaneously, causing a mini chaos of gym etiquette violations. 7. Double trouble at work. At the office, your clone would create all kinds of hilarious dilemmas. You'd show up to meetings together, only to confuse your boss when 2 versions of you give conflicting opinions. If there's a deadline coming up, both you and your clone might end up working on the same project separately, only to realize later that you did the exact same thing. There's a good chance that this would lead to some very unproductive, yet highly entertaining, moments. 8. Clones at the grocery store. Grocery shopping would be a blast. Your clone would have the exact same shopping list, so you'd end up picking the same items and blocking each other in every aisle. But the best part, you'd both have the same taste in snacks and end up in a major debate over which brand of chips is superior. The clone could secretly try to one-up your choices with different flavors just to make a point. 9. Double the drama in relationships. Romantic relationships would be hilarious when your partner has to choose between you and your clone. They'd have to figure out who's the real you. Maybe one clone's a morning person and the other loves staying up late. Arguments would become extra awkward when you and your clone disagree on everything from movie preferences to favorite pizza toppings. Who's the real romantic one? Would become a regular debate. 10. Clones at the doctor's office. Going to the doctor's office could lead to hilarious misunderstandings. Both you and your clone might show up at the same time for appointments, only for the doctor to get thoroughly confused about which symptoms belong to whom. The clone might exaggerate their symptoms just to see if they get different treatment, creating a fun, if not a little frustrating, experience for the medical staff. Having a clone would certainly make life a lot more interesting, and a whole lot funnier. While some people might enjoy the perks of having an identical twin to share experiences with, most of us would probably end up in more chaos and confusion than we could handle. But hey, at least life would never be boring.